Starting. Oh, and we're live. Look at that. We're live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're completely live, guys. For everybody tuning in, we just spent the last 20 minutes just doing Twitter chat only. Welcome to my community manager, AMA style. Ask us anything. So everybody's kind of popping in, and yeah. So what were you guys just talking about?
We're talking about how you can't get a simple Hangout started to save your life.
We had a bunch of questions from Twitter.
Here's the first one, bro. If you want to pull it up.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, all right. Let's also get the. I love you, Google. I'm sorry. I love you, Google. Don't. Yeah, there's the YouTube link for everybody to watch who's over on Twitter. So.
I think that's the other thing we were talking about, Brew, is just how you couldn't lose your temper as a community manager. So.
Oh, yeah, no, never.
That's interesting.
Especially on live Hangout videos. Okay, so vacation. So what do you guys all do for vacation? I know we answered
What is that word?
I don't know what that means, actually.
I'm going on vacation in a week from now. So.
Oh, I got mine set up for December. I'm taking pretty much the whole week before Christmas and the whole week after.
That's awesome.
I like outdoor stuff. I like going to like Colorado, going hiking and biking, and because I'm always so glued in with the internet and all this video and all this stuff. I like actually unplugging and weird thing. I know this is gonna really sound weird. Being outside with nature.
I'm so with you. I love camping.
So here's my question to kind of go off of that one. After about 3 days, does it feel weird, like something's missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I miss the community, to be honest with you. I mean, what I answered over on Twitter is, I don't do full-time community management anymore, but when I did, I would miss the community. So yeah, I would get someone to sub for me, but then. As a consumer, I was always plugging back in to see how things were going, and it's like I would miss the people who normally stop by, and as time went on, I missed that community even more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't ever seem to totally unplug. I always want to see what's happening and find out what the community's saying.
Does it feel like the community is dating someone else when you leave? You feel icky?
Yes.
Yeah. And you get that sense of FOMO, that fear of missing out. It's just like when I'm in and I'm doing it, it's like I know what's going on, and if news pops up or something happens here or there, I feel like I know, because when I come back and I have a couple hundred notifications, you're just like, oh geez, what? Like there was a lot of stuff that I missed.
Well, I can tell you, in the video game world, when holidays happen, it actually gets busier in your communities because the kids are home from school and now they're playing the games and want to find out about it. So you actually have, when everybody else, in the business world starts to slump, the video game industry kind of picks up because there's more people playing.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I used to be a community manager for a couple of different shopping malls, and Black Friday. It's the biggest shopping day of the year, and on social media it is crazy as well. So there's a sense of plugging out a little bit, but it's exciting at the same time.
Hey Allie, this is Hot from Twitter. Over to you. What's the biggest challenge you faced at Scoop It as director of CNC, and how did you overcome it?
That's community and content there. Can you see that?
Can I see what?
That my feet are up.
She's pretty laid back about her CNC role.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge you faced?
It's actually just chillin'. But I think probably the biggest challenge I faced was kind of what the heck does this job even mean? So I started out as a community manager, and it was like about 2.5 years ago. And I kind of just winged it, and kind of, I started coming on Community Manager Hangout and doing Community Manager Chat and doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then kind of learned. And when I stepped into the Director of Content and Community role, it was like a whole new world of, content. And like, I think probably the biggest thing that for me was like basically keeping up with the growth and evolution of the company in terms of the growth and evolution of my position like within that company, and finding success. And the way I kind of handle that is just to kind of like keep appreciating the opportunity that I've been given to learn. Like, they could have just gotten rid of me and gotten a pro at content marketing, but instead I've been given this opportunity to kind of learn about it, and now I've been in this position for about 6 or 7 months now, and it's really hard, but I just kind of turn to a lot of experts in the industry and keep learning, and then somehow like I've just figured out stuff to do, and kind of never letting myself kind of stop learning, I think, is the biggest thing.
Awesome. I have another one from Twitter, and this is really for anybody. This is Garrett. Hey, Garrett, thanks for joining us. Garrett asks, at what point should it be obvious that social media or community management is just not for you?
I kind of was joking earlier when we weren't on air that if you hate people, that's not a good thing. You need to actually like people and interact with people and communicate with people. And the hardest part is actually people. And actually, that's Sonia. They need Sonia at the front desk. But actually listening to people and interacting with people is crucial. My wife jokes around me all the time. She's like, how do you interact with these people so well? I say, honey, I actually listen. Now, at home, I don't listen. And I should. And I apologize, honey. But normally, listening is the key. You really got to interact with people that way.
And I actually said on there, and I actually responded to that question on Twitter and said, if you got to ask that question, it's probably not for you. But in all seriousness, if you are even contemplating it and you're not in the profession, then go work as a bartender, work as a waiter or waitress, go work in a high-paced retail environment. And if you can't do that with a smile on your face, you're not going to be good doing this.
I think that's a really good point. I was a waitress all through college, and I think that experience really helped me be able to translate it into the online community and working with people all the time, even if it's not necessarily face-to-face. And the other thing I think is if you start taking customer complaints that are on social media really to heart and start taking it personally, then you really need to figure out a way to separate between the two. And so I think if you take everything personally, then it might not be the right position for you as well.
I would also say
you also have to like abuse.
Oh, go ahead, David.
I was going to say, you also have to like abuse. If you could take pleasure in somebody cussing at you, then you'll probably really enjoy it. No, I'm kidding.
There's another line of work for you, too, if you enjoy that.
Yeah,
I was going to say, oh no, do we lose?
What the complaint isn't really about you, and it's, I've said it a million times. It's that line, they just suck at communicating it, but they really want things to be better. So, and it's just a matter of taking it that way. They're just trying to make things better.
I like to think of it as you have to be good at compartmentalizing, as well as I used to hire, as I was hiring my team, I always called it, do you have something on your resume that says you can roll with the punches? Because I think that's really what, a lot of it's what we're doing. You could have a great day that turns into one crappy day just because of one person. And I think, compartmentalizing that, not only leaving that where it's at, but also understanding, like, shit happens in everybody's life, and you just kind of roll with it. And, I think when you can roll with the punches, you can also, like, reverse engineer. And so, like, it's like a coach. You can give someone a pat on the back even though they missed a free throw, and they're called free for a reason. You still have to be able to, like, keep them motivated and happy. So I think compartmentalization is something we all learn as we go along, especially in this role.
I have two things to add to that. The first thing is I am so bad at that, and that's like a one thing that I've really learned over the past couple of years is, like, I am an extremely sensitive person. I take everything personally, and at first I had a really, really hard time, like, dealing with that. And I think the best story I have is I was on support for the first 2 years now. I manage someone who does support now, but I once had someone tell me that I guess they weren't happy with my response to their question, and it wasn't because I gave them the wrong answer. I just gave them an answer that they didn't really want to hear, even though it was true. And they told me that my parents didn't care about me because they never taught me how to be smart. And I think that was probably the worst thing I've ever heard, because, like, why would you bring my parents into this and, like, tell me that my parents don't love me? But then, like, I think it's hilarious now. Like, it's a pretty funny thing to think about. And then the other thing is, kind of going back to how do you know if your job isn't for you, I think I was saying this earlier, but it's pretty similar to any other job. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my god, I cannot wait till tonight when I'm home from work, like, that sucks. And, like, that's definitely a sign that, you know, you need to make moves, I think.
If you want to become a community manager, just have kids. They will you will practice so much at answering questions on a daily basis. This little girl asks me about 100 questions a day. Community management is easy compared to dealing with this, right? Okay.
I did not know that it was Kid Prop Day. I could have found one. I'm sure there's somewhere one close.
You can borrow one of mine.
Dom, didn't we address that last week with you and kids?
With that mustache, yeah, there's no way that I should be allowed within 50 feet of a school. So.
All right, guys, I'm going to rapid fire another question over to you. This one comes from Michael Boyce. Hey, Michael, thanks for joining us. He says, all right, here's a question. Could the panel members speak about their creative process? So would love to hear if somebody has, you know, really, if any of you guys really feel good about your creative process. I want to share that.
Mine sucks.
I'm trying to think what creative process means.
I think I'm pretty lucky being in an agency setting, is that we have so many different creative people around us. So my creative process really is tapping into my entire team and brainstorming and coming up with really creative and awesome content that is fantastic for the community.
I'm a whiteboard junkie, so I like whiteboarding something, and then because mostly in every role I've had, I'm always like more of a one-man show. So like tools like Canva, and you know, I like to learn, copy, steal, cheat from everyone else that looks, you know, really good on design. So like someone like Dustin Stout, you know, he posts lots of guides, quick start stuff from a creative perspective, from, you know, creating creatives for blogs and content. So I usually like to, you know, hijack that stuff and learn how they did it. Because I think, you know, I often say that you don't have to be smart anymore. Google's the smart one. You just have to be willing to do it, test and try stuff. So, you know, that's like tools like Canva make me look a lot more creative than I really am.
Yeah, I think
so go ahead.
I think
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because today, like, being I'm just gonna go with it. Being good at your job, not your job, but, like, you know, being in like tech support or anything is just about being really good at Googling stuff and, like, you know, figuring stuff out. And, like, in terms, like, you mentioned Canva, Brian, like, I love Canva, and I mean, I literally have gotten made fun of for my lack of graphic design skills. Like, I've even been ironically endorsed on LinkedIn for graphic design because I'm actually so bad at it. I mean, my creative process is literally this. Like Brian said, like, I have my giant whiteboard over here. I have a piece of paper. I have, like, 97 pads. Like, I just write everything down. I, like, just bounce ideas off of my boss or myself or my piece of paper and just, like, write everything down. And, like, some people find that really overwhelming, but for me it's a great way to kind of just, like, brain dump and then go back through it and, like, organize it and try and figure stuff out.
I'd love to.
I think the creative process has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. especially we're talking about community management. I think in the old days, creative process was more scripted and more, thinking it through. Nowadays, you got to be quick. You got to be quick on your feet. You got to be able to interact. You got to be able to think at a rapid pace because people want a quick answer or a quick result or a quick interaction. And to me, creative process is really the speed of how quickly you can take someone's response or someone's thought, or you see something and you can react immediately in a clever way. To me, that's the most creative people.
I think that also comes with a lot of planning, though. One of the things I believe a lot in is that you need a very detailed creative process, a solid plan for your content. What are you literally down to? If you're going to be doing posts, what are you posting about? And the more you get involved in kind of knowing the brand voice, knowing and planning ahead of time on what's going to happen, the easier it is to be nimble in the moment. Kind of like what you're saying, Chris. I totally agree that a lot of the creativity does happen off the bat, but if you plan ahead of time, let's be honest, there's a ton of different hey, here's 20 funny ways you could say this. There's a lot of upfront planning you can do so that it makes your job a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brew, scale is impossible without having a repeatable process. I think many of us are learning that. Even when it comes to personal branding or chats or if you don't figure out a way to have a repeatable process in some aspects of it, and then allowing you to be real time so that you can focus on the right time. I think that's important because I think we all learn that as we go. Doing things off the cuff is great until you try to scale it.
Yeah, what is that? The luck is the residue of hard work. So, you have those moments where you're measuring twice before you cut the one time. But if you have that measurement, then every cut after that's going to be quicker. So if you have the pieces in place, it just turns into, it's plug and play. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, you're right. It's what is it? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yep. He's also a dude in the NFL that has a nasty neck beard.
All right, hey Dom, this is a question for you. I'm just gonna have you answer this, and then I'm gonna jump to the next one. We're getting tons of questions coming in, so I'm gonna keep us going here. So, if you couldn't do community or social anymore, what would you do and why?
Wow, that's tough. I would be in an improv show somewhere. Just go with that. That's what I would do. I would try to make people laugh.
Having watched you try to come up with that answer, I don't think improv's for you.
Oh man, fine.
No,
I would write a one-man show and take it off Broadway.
All right, next question. So this one's for everyone. It's from Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. Kelly asks, with social media being so accessible, how do you find that work-life balance?
You gotta force it.
Tim's question. This is the Tim question, right? Tim, it's not work-life, it's living?
If I can unmute, I would talk. Yes, it's not a work-life balance. It's called living. And it all circles together. But I think we were talking, before we were live about the whole removing yourself, stepping away from the computer, not having your phone in your hand all the time. Those are important things to make sure that you're recharged for when you are online.
I think it's all about being all in no matter what you're doing. So if you're in your, I try to be all in the moment if I'm with my daughters, and if I'm working, I try to be all in, there as well. I think that's where for me it works all together, and I think to me there's not a balance. When you're trying to make it a balance is when it becomes a job, just trying to balance the two of them. But I think I love the idea of it's really just called living. I'm on Tim's bandwagon there for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. To me, it's not work-life balance doesn't necessarily mean that one has to be without the other, right? Because especially in our roles, it feels like it creeps into everything, and it's just being sure that you're not getting too far into one so that you're losing out on the other. I think trying to find an actual equal balance is pretty much impossible. But making sure that you're not that you're like feeding your children and important things in life, right? That you're not completely missing out on those things because you're weighing too heavily on one side.
Awesome. Next question. This is for anyone here. After a stressful day with community, how do you reset and unwind to get back into the swing tomorrow? And for me, that's really a couple cocktails.
I was going to say wine.
Beer and Sports Center.
For me, and I'm sure Allie can relate, being on an unplugged run where I don't have my phone with me is fantastic. Somewhere else where phones are not allowed is my yoga studio, so I really feel like those kind of places where I can just unplug are great.
I am so with you. I'm a runner, so I love running, but like every day when I'm having a terrible day, I'm like, ugh, I just want to go run like 7 miles right now and like nothing else. Like I do run with my phone for music, but like I turn on Do Not Disturb and I'm just like, nobody talk to me, go for a run. I'm like totally out of commission. It's so relaxing. And also wine afterwards.
Yes, wine is key.
Nobody's mentioned this yet, but I used to work for Ariana Huffington, and sleep is very important. I have no respect for people that say, I only slept 2 hours last night. It's all about making sure you get your 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep.
I also go, my big thing is I leave work between 5 and 5:30 every day, and I go home and I spend time with my family. And after my daughter goes to bed, I get back online and I might, do some more work or whatever, but there's a time where I'm helping her with homework and we're reading books and things like that, and so that's each night. That's my routine that I absolutely love, is spending time with the family and reading to my 7-year-old, or her reading to me.
I do want to say that I have never ever in my life said the sentence, "Man, I really just want to run 7 miles." Like that just to each their own, but I think that I feel better now about being so unhealthy because you're definitely healthy enough for like this entire panel. So.
Oh God, just because I'm a runner doesn't mean that, because distance running is terrible for your body.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
All right, next question for the panel. This is from Tia. Hey, Tia. She says, what's the one thing you wish you had at all or more of, resource-wise, to help you do a better job?
More people.
Statistics, man.
More kick-ass community members. That's what I wish I had more of.
Oh, yeah.
They do a better job of spreading your message than more people on your team do.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I wish I had more or better tools to get the data that I want out of my community.
So that's a great answer, and I'll let you start answering this next one. And we could probably spend a whole show on this, guys. So let's keep it to a couple minutes here. But what killer tool, software, social platform, app, etc. are you most excited about now? So just name the tool and like in 140 characters why, and just one tool. Go. Come on, Brian Fanzo.
I'm looking for that tool. I'm looking for that magic tool.
All right, so I'll jump in there. I'll say my favorite tool right now is BuzzSumo, and it allows me to do social listening and social monitoring from a content level as well as
over 140 characters.
No, I use short words. I couldn't use the slashes.
I mean, I like the tool we're using right now, although we had a little bit of trouble getting on. But I think the Google Plus Hangouts have been fantastic. You can interact with people, and it's really seeing them and hearing them and the inflections. I love this tool.
And I'm going to say the telephone. I love it because nobody else uses it, and it's the most effective way to let somebody know that you actually care about them and not the masses.
That was definitely more than 140 characters.
I would have to say mine is Symbol, just because it keeps everyone sorted in my brain.
I really love Tracker, the influencer identification tool. I am obsessed with it. It's so cool.
Yep, I am too. That's a good one.
I just want to be on it. I can't wait until I'm on it.
See, and that's
I'm loving Rival IQ right now. You get all kinds of you can set up competitors, not necessarily competitors, and they send you alerts when their social stuff is doing really well, and you can decide.
What is this? What tool did you say?
It's called Rival IQ.
writing that down.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's one of my favorite social listening ones as well.
Yeah, it's a great one.
But I guess I have too many. I keep saying everything's a favorite, so I'm not a good bar to measure against.
All right, next question. It was funny. We had a little over 35, 36 people watching. Also, it just started dropping down, and then dropped down to like 3. And I was like, wow, is it that bad? But it looks like there was an intermittent hiccup from YouTube. So now our viewers are coming back, but that's all right. So let's just jump on to the next question. This comes from Terry. Hey, Terry. How many of you just had to learn how to be a community manager on the go? I know, Allie, you shared about that as sort of like you got thrown in. Jen, you have a similar story, right?
Yeah, totally. So my background is I was a web developer for 10 years, and I then got into SEO and became an SEO. And at some point, I was doing SEO for SEO Moz at the time, and we gave up consulting to focus on tools. And they said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I think we could maybe grow this community into something, bigger than anyone else has." And they're like, "Well, do you know how to do that?" And I'm like, "Well, no." And they're like, "All right, well, figure it out." And so I was SEO developer type, jumping in and figuring out how to manage a community of online marketers and such. And it's what I didn't know is that I've essentially been a community manager my entire life, and didn't know how to put into place the things that I do really well. So that's how I fell into it, and I'm extremely happy that I did.
And I was actually in real estate when I started my community manager, and taught myself about community management just by starting the site and inviting other community managers on the Hangout. So, which led to me going to Huffington Post and moving to New York from Chicago. So I think it's all about learning on the run.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before. Every single job that we've had, has sort of set us up for this. I did a YouTube video the other day where I was talking about how much me being an elf for 2 winters at the Santa Claus set in the mall actually helped, becoming a community manager, because you're talking to different types of community members, between the kids and the parents and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I was awesome, by the way. Second year I became assistant manager elf. So there you go. There's pictures out there of me with the little elf ears. But everything that you do sets you up for this, because everything that you do has something to deal with people. And so, that's what a community manager is. It's just somebody who can connect and talk well with people. So
I think you're totally right. I think every job, really, you're a community manager. They've been around since the 1970s. You're dealing with consumers and customers and answering questions and, really interacting with people. If you're not doing that as a business anyway, you're going to die. So everybody really is a community manager in every single business.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that if you're in a career that is any kind of customer-facing, be it retail, restaurant, whatever, and you enjoy working with people, given all of the people that you encounter, then you could easily make it as a community manager.
All right, guys, tactical question here from Tina. She asks, one organization, many monthly events. Does she do a separate hashtag or just one hashtag to rule them all? What's your advice?
I've actually done this with lean content. So we had lean content started in San Francisco, and then we had a couple events in New York. We had one in Iowa City. We were planning one in LA, and we created different meetup groups for each city, but we kept the hashtag the same, and that way the people from the different cities could also connect with each other.
I would agree.
And it also just gets way confusing.
Yeah, I'd agree. Keeping a consistent hashtag makes the most sense. You're going to lose so many people if you switch it up every time.
Mm.
Yeah. You want to keep the momentum going. You don't want people to try and track you down. Where are you? What are you doing?
Awesome. Let's see. What do we got for the next? Oh, here we go. So, So Kendra asks, she would love to hear some recommendations on good social media podcasts to listen to. So I know some of you guys listen to podcasts. I'm pretty sure someone on this panel even has a podcast. So why don't you go ahead and plug that, and then we'll talk about the others.
Yeah,
actually, two of us do.
Yeah, there's 2 podcasts on this.
That's awesome.
The one that I do, it's the Train Monkey Show. It's you can find us on Twitter at TT Monkey Show. It actually came out of a community manager panel. Myself and Maya Paveza and Emma Cunningham. We've had guests like John Koob, who was just on there. Brian Fanzo was a guest one week. And yeah, we actually just changed it to a half an hour, which makes it a little bit more edible, I guess you can say. So.
Yeah, I know how you feel there. So,
Dave,
our
this is where you need to do your microphone thing, I think.
Oh, no, not that. I don't want to kill people.
David's an internet provider.
Yeah. It's ConferoCast, ConferoCast on Twitter. And ours is,
I'm tweeting it now.
She's tweeting it now. And we are social media in community, and we tend to take a topic and then riff on it for about 15 minutes. We're only on like episode 4, so we're still finding our path. If anybody's got suggestions or comments, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so I'm a podcast junkie. I'm releasing my first one December 1st, but I'll answer the question in the sense of I'm a big fan of the Jay Bear has the Gary Vee has the Ask Gary Vee show. Jay Bear has Jay Today. Both of them short, active, great things for social media and community. I know Social Media Examiner one with Mike Stelzer is also a favorite of mine. It actually is how I found Social Media Marketing World, which I met some of these wonderful people on this panel for the first time. And then another one is Social Pros podcast, which is Jay Bear, Jeff Roars, and Nick Cicero. Those are my favorites. But I'm always a big fan of, if you use Stitcher, find me on Stitcher. I've favorited and categorized all of my podcasts, always looking for new ones. But I'm a huge podcast fan.
Awesome, guys. Next question. This one comes from Christine. She's like, what do you love most about your role as the community manager? And did you always know this was your calling?
I always knew I was a people person. I always knew I was a people person. I loved being, the captain of my swim team in high school and being able to be a leader. And I think that translated really well into being a community manager. I just love being able to connect with people. And a lot of times it's people from across the world, which is really awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I kind of fell into it. And so that's how I got started and that kind of thing. But I just always liked hanging out with people and talking to people about the things that I enjoyed and turned it into a career.
Me too.
Awesome. I was expecting, I don't think you guys really like your jobs. I thought everyone was going to be jumping on top of each other to answer that thing, but that's all right. Next question. So we're going to say question for all. How do you, this is from Carmela. Hey, Carmela, thanks for hanging out with us again on this awesome Friday. How do you take your online community offline? Do you plan any special in-person or local events? So who does a lot of offline stuff?
Jump on it, Lindsay.
I'm on mute still. I was still on mute, sorry. Part of my role at MMI is that I'm also a PR person. So I do a lot of event planning, and it's really neat to be able to see the integration of the online community and the offline community merge together. I spoke earlier about a shopping mall that I was a community manager for in the past, and being able to plan events and see a community grow online around the event, and then find out that people learned about it through social media. It's really rewarding, and it's a great way to have that online and offline community connect, and you end up growing your online community through those events too.
I agree with you, Lindsay. I think it's actually more interesting because the passion's already there. So I travel around college football stadiums and interview tailgaters, and so we have a hashtag, so we're interacting with these tailgaters, but we're also doing it live. They are there so passionate already. It makes the hashtagging and the interacting so much easier. Plus, it's a live event of 80 to 100,000 people, in one location. So to me, it brings so much adrenaline and so much emotion that I think the live, interactive, online combined is very powerful.
That's awesome. Chris, you need to come out. I'll be in Tempe wearing my Notre Dame jersey this weekend, rooting for Notre Dame at ASU. That's going to be a
I just got back from Florida State, Notre Dame.
Oh, that's good.
Or you could come on up. We got Michigan State, Ohio State going on this weekend, too.
Oh, that's going to be a big one.
Thank you for tuning into ESPN.
I'm pumped for that one. Sorry.
Yay, football, sports, go sports. All right, so next is from Mrs. Jacob State Farm. She says, what are some of the ways you drive up membership numbers? We want members. So what's your top tip for getting more members?
Cat pictures.
Have existing members go find and invite their friends.
Absolutely.
Best way.
Absolutely.
I always say whoever invented the referral program is a brilliant genius.
Yeah.
I say make sure your systems and optimization doesn't stop.
Create great stuff that people care about. Don't give me crap that I don't want. And if you're creating stuff that's irrelevant to your end user, A, you don't know them, B, they don't care. They don't care. So if you don't know what they want, you're already toast. So make sure you're creating great stuff that people care about, and they're going to share it.
Exactly.
All right, guys, I'm going to try to get us on to another question here. Question 4 for the or question number 4 for the bit now. Anyways, do you think there's a difference between a U.S. community manager and a European community manager? Is there a culture difference?
I actually have a really interesting perspective on this. So I work, Scoopit started in France, and now we're located obviously in San Francisco, but about half of our community is in France. And something that was really interesting that I found was like community manager meant something pretty different, like in the U.S. and in France. Not like fundamentally different, but like just like a different kind of I don't know, a different kind of person would be a community manager, and a different, a little bit different ideologies behind community management. And I think that obviously there are culture differences, like, you know, there's just for people, like if you're in France, there are certain things that you don't do that you do in the U.S. or vice versa. Like if you're at a meetup and you're going to kiss people on the cheek instead of shaking their hand or whatever. So there's like obviously those types of things. But it also depends on, like, am I talking really fast? I feel like I'm talking really fast. It depends on, like, the, it depends on, you know, what your community actually is. For us, like, everyone obviously has a vested interest in content marketing, so the underlying themes are obviously the same, but, you know, of course, the culture difference definitely comes into play. And me being only community manager at Scoopit, I've kind of had, we have, like, a sales and dev team in France who kind of takes over some of those duties, because it's just not really possible to be a full-on community manager from across the world.
I think the biggest part, you know, no matter if it's tools or location or borders, if you start with focusing just on the people, all the tools and the other stuff will work itself out. But if you start with the people, getting to know them, no matter what the end game is, I think the people makes it the easy part. If you try to just master the tools or master what works at each event, that makes it more difficult.
All right, guys, a couple more. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, when you get out of the North America, most of the European and other countries are more about your website visitors other than your community on social or forums.
Awesome.
Great SEO.
Yes, I am on a mission today to get through all of these questions, Allie. So, so here we go. Just a quick little surprise for everyone. There's a picture of Dom with the Easter Bunny. So just want to make sure we shared that on air. Mark Rowan says, "Can we let Jennifer Lopez say something?" So actually, Jen, this will be for you.
Clearly, the answer to that question was no.
James Baldwin asks, "What's your best or favorite memory working as a community manager to date?" So Jen, we'll have you answer that.
Okay, my best. Let's see. So I think the one. So this is specifically about social, but we do a lot of on-site stuff as well. But one night, the president of the company, she didn't vlog very often. She sent me a blog post like on a Saturday night at 10 p.m. and I edited the post, I put it up, and I posted it on Facebook, and then I went to bed. And the next day I get an email from a coworker that says, like, he's like dying. He's like, I just got kicked out of a coffee shop because I was laughing so hard. And I'm like, what the heck happened? Well, if y'all don't know, that Facebook actually has a character limit on titles, and it cut it off, and the name of the title that I had posted was something like Kickstart Your something something analytics. Well, it cut off at ANAL, and I had kicked off. I had started the post on Facebook by saying Sunday treat, and it was take a deep dive into your analytics, and it said a Sunday treat, and it said a deep dive into your anal, and
way to get views.
Again, the president of the company at the time. Anyway, so that's my silly one, and yeah, so I always double check Facebook now to make sure that it doesn't completely screw things up. But yeah,
and that's how you build membership.
We had a very like, it was even in the comments on the actual post. People were like tweeting screenshots of it. It was crazy. Anyway, that was I would say my funnest complete screw up that I did, at least.
All right, so I can't top that at all, and I feel bad that I got to follow it. But honestly, so my favorite community manager moment is having inspired somebody to go into community management and then finding out that they finally got a job as a community manager in a field that they really, really enjoyed. That was probably my best moment. And the reason I bring it up is because James, the person who asked the question, is that person for me.
Aww.
Oh, wow.
That's a great one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we are out of time. We did have a few questions we didn't get to, although we did get to other questions from those people, so I don't feel so bad. Boy, we'll have to do this again sometime. Sherry, do we have a topic for next week, or are we just going to roll with another AMA?
We do, actually. Jordan Reeves, who is formerly with TED, asked if we could talk about community moderation. So that is next week's.
Awesome. So community moderation next week. Tune in, guys. Till then, have a great week. Everybody knows you can go to our website, mycmgr.com. Click on participate. We want you to hang out on our show. We want your ideas, your topics. This is your community, your show. We just facilitate it. So see you guys next Friday.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.